Thank you. Menopause. Menopause. Let's explore this very complicated yet very natural phenomenon called menopause. I was confirmed being menopausal about 2 years ago by my doctor, by the way. At the time, I thought that hot flushes was the only thing and the only symptom associated with menopause. Little did I know that there was a whole array of symptoms attached to menopause. Some of my symptoms. I suffered from anxiety and depression for absolutely no reason. Fatigue due to sleep disorders. You would get a hot flush literally at 2 a.m. in the morning. And let me tell you, I've timed a hot flush, by the way. I have. It lasts for 2 minutes, but it is 2 minutes of extreme and excruciating heat that starts from the bottom up, and it envelops your entire body, and you can't stand that intense heat. And I thought, okay, maybe something is happening, but I wasn't sure about it. The other symptom that really troubled me was brain fog. At the time, I thought that there was something seriously wrong with me because I would forget my words mid-sentence. I would start a sentence and forget my words. And I thought, what is going on with me? And when my doctor told me that it was brain fog, I realized that this is menopause and this is a normal symptom associated. And for me, it opened up a new world of just understanding myself and my body and what was happening to me. But then there are other symptoms that I didn't even associate with menopause. Change in body odor. Did you know that? Digestive problems. That's something that I suffer from. For the last 5 years, I've been suffering from digestive problems. Bloating is another issue. Joint pain. Vaginal dryness. The list literally goes on and on. And what's worse about this, these symptoms can last anything from 4 to 8 years, guys. Now that's a long time. That's a long time to suffer from these symptoms. But I must just caution that it's important to note, not every woman will experience these symptoms in the same way. It is different for everyone. That's why it is important to go see your doctor or to go to a wellness clinic and to get a proper diagnosis around it. So now, menopause doesn't only affect us at a personal level. It also impacts us at work. So let us talk about that a little bit and see how does it impact us in work. But before that, I would like to just create some context around how big this issue could potentially be. There are 657 million women worldwide aged between 45 and 59. That is a huge amount of women. In South Africa, according to Stats SA, based on 2023 stats, 54.3% of the workforce are made out of women, right? And 15.5% of those women are between the ages of 45 and 59. That's staggering statistics. What's even more staggering, if half of the workforce are women, all those women are at some point in their life going to experience menopause. In the UK alone, 1 in 10 women has left their jobs due to menopause. That's startling. 14 million work days are lost to menopause every year. Women over 50 are the biggest demographic in the workplace. So why is this important? It's important because menopause can no longer be seen as just an issue that affects women. It is an important gender and age equality issue that we have to consider in the workplace to make sure that the workplace is inclusive. But over and above that, we have to retain women in the workplace because they are the most important demographic in the workplace. They are future CEOs, our future leaders. So it is a business imperative to look after women, to support women that are menopausal in this period, because they are going to be our future presidents, our future leaders. So we can no longer ignore this. It's not a nice to have, it's an important issue that we need to address in the workplace. Now, I want to bring this home and talk about a more personal experience and the impact menopause had on me in the workplace. I remember there was a time I did a presentation. There were about 100 plus people in the audience, women in particular in the audience. And about half of those women were 40 plus, my target audience, obviously. And I was experiencing a hot flash. And I could express myself to these women. And in fact, one of the ladies in the audience ran up to me with a fan. Lifesaver, guys. An absolute lifesaver. It helped me to get through my presentation. Now, what's the importance of that? That particular scenario created psychological safety for me. And that's important because in contrast, I was in another meeting with predominantly male audience. And I had a hot flash, but I was too embarrassed to express myself and to say that I am getting a hot flash. And I suffered through that hot, remember I told you 2 minutes of excruciating heat is not an easy thing to get through. And I was too embarrassed to tell these guys that I needed a moment just to gather myself. So what does that mean? I did not feel psychologically safe in that moment to express myself. Then there was a time when I was going through my mood swings and I was emotional that day and I was with a particular colleague in a meeting and I lost it. I lost it with this guy. And I apologized at the time. But when it came to my performance reviews, he actually said that I was too emotional and I need to improve on my emotional maturity. So that is the direct impact of how menopause affects women in the workplace. It doesn't get more serious than that. Now imagine someone else, a woman operating a machine, suffering from either getting a hot flash and an anxiety attack, or suffering from fatigue. That can lead to errors in the workplace, or even, God forbid, accidents. Imagine a pilot. Would you like to be in that plane? Right? So these are the serious health and safety issues that we need to take into consideration. And we need to support women around this. So what is the problem in summary? There's a lack of policies in the workplace. Not enough companies support women in the workplace around that. There's not enough policies. The lack of empathy. I spoke about how that colleague of mine rated me down in my performance management review just because I was menopausal. Reduced work performance. Fatigue leads to low productivity. It was a daily battle for me to stay awake and present at work. Then there's the issue of lack of awareness. There's not enough educational platforms available to us to understand, to debunk, and to get rid of this stigma or taboo around menopause. Then there's this big issue around career progression. Every day as women, we struggle with issues around promotion, equal pay, and then we have to contend with menopause. I spoke about earlier that 1 in 10 women in the UK left their jobs due to menopause. This translates to about 900,000 people just in the UK, or women in particular, menopausal women in the UK that left their jobs. Now, if we think worldwide, that's millions of people. And then we bring it back to third world countries where we're even afraid to speak up. Then it just gives you an idea of how big this problem can be. So what can we do about it? So certainly there's legal protections available to us, especially within the South African context. We actually have a litany of legislation in South Africa alone that we can use to protect women in the workplace. You have the Constitution of South Africa. You have the Employment Equity Act. You have the Labor Relations Act. And there's certain code of conduct and ILO conventions that protects women in the workplace. There's a recent code from the Department of Labor on harassment in the workplace, and menopause can be regulated under that particular code. We can create spaces for dialogue. In fact, did you know that there's a World Menopause Day that can be celebrated on the 18th of October every year? And we could have then made a big fuss about menopause. Then there's the issue of flexible work arrangements. We live in the world of working from home. We can certainly support menopausal women going through these symptoms by making arrangements around working from home. And that certainly can go a long way. But for me, before we get to all of these things, and I touched on it earlier on, is the issue of psychological safety. I think the starting point is to create safe workplaces where we feel safe to raise these issues and not feel that we will be discriminated against or there will be some kind of retribution against us when we speak up. There's a statistic that says 47% of women are afraid to speak about menopause in the workplace. So certainly there's quite a lot that we can do and that we should do to support women, because as I said earlier on, this has become a serious business imperative. Women are the majority in the workplace. So if we want to maintain a productive workplace, we're going to have to address this. So where am I now in my menopause journey? So I must say that I consulted my doctor a couple of months ago, and we discussed the options of hormone replacement therapy. And when she explained to me the reason why I needed to go on hormone replacement therapy, and believe me, prior to that, I tried everything else, everything natural, and it didn't work for me. She explained to me that going on hormone replacement therapy is not just about managing your symptoms. It's about improving the quality of your life. Improving the quality of your life. And that was the game changer for me. I've been on HRT, or hormone replacement therapy, now for 6 months. So my symptoms have improved. I'm hot flush free. Yay! I sleep better, and my symptoms are definitely better. But hormone replacement therapy is a very personal decision. Not everybody can make that decision. So it is important to still, it is important to still have the policies in place, to still create awareness, because it is a business imperative. In conclusion, I would like to say, I came across this quote: menopause is thicker than water. When we talk and laugh about it, we learn and relax. It's a life transition and not a disease. I'm Estelle Solomons. Thank you.